Imagine waking up at 2 in the morning with a throbbing, relentless toothache. It feels like a tiny, red-hot hammer beating inside your jaw. Today, you swallow an ibuprofen, put an ice pack on your cheek, and call the dentist. But imagine feeling that exact same agony 15,000 years ago. No painkillers, no sterile clinics, no high-speed drills, just you, the pitch-black night, and a pain so absolute it could literally drive a person insane. What did you do? We have this stubborn, modern image of prehistoric humans. We picture them as hunched, grunting cavemen with mouths full of black, rotting, missing teeth. But paleoanthropology reveals a massive, counterintuitive shocker. For 99% of human history, our wild ancestors actually had significantly healthier, straighter, and stronger teeth than you do right now. When archaeologists examine the skulls of hunter-gatherers from 30,000 years ago, they find heavy physical wear but almost zero cavities. Their teeth look like sturdy, thick, flat stones. Why? Because of the prehistoric menu. Early humans ate tough, fibrous wild meats, raw tubers, roots, and fibrous leaves. Chewing this brutal diet required massive mechanical force. This constant, heavy chewing from childhood did two things. First, the rough fibers acted like a natural, continuous toothbrush, physically scrubbing the enamel clean with every bite. Second, the sheer mechanical stress forced their jawbones to grow wide and massive. Everyone had plenty of room for all 32 teeth. Impacted wisdom teeth were practically non-existent. More importantly, their world lacked the ultimate biological weapon: refined sugar. Streptococcus mutans, the primary bacteria that causes tooth decay, was practically starving to death in the Paleolithic mouth. So what went wrong? Why are modern humans spending billions of dollars on root canals, braces, and white fillings? We ruined our own mouths roughly 10,000 years ago. We invented agriculture. When humans settled down and started farming wheat, barley, corn, and rice, our diet shifted dramatically from tough proteins to soft, sticky starches. To the bacteria in your mouth, cooked starch is a biological jackpot. It breaks down into simple sugars right on the teeth. The oral bacteria threw a 10,000-year-long party. They multiplied exponentially, produced highly acidic waste, and began melting human enamel. For the first time in the history of our species, dental caries, cavities, became a massive, agonizing global pandemic. And in the ancient world, a severe cavity wasn't just an annoyance, it was a ticking time bomb. A rotting tooth leads to a dental abscess, a deep pocket of trapped, highly pressurized pus inside the jawbone. If that infection bursts inward, the bacteria enters the bloodstream or travels straight up into the brain. For thousands of years, a bad toothache was a standard, routine sentence of death. So when the agony struck, how did ancient humans fight back? They started with the natural pharmacy. To kill the blinding nerve pain, they chewed on raw willow bark, which contains salicin, the natural chemical precursor to modern aspirin. They packed inflamed gums with dried cloves, wild garlic, or propolis, a highly sticky, intensely antibacterial resin collected by honeybees. If they had access to early fermented alcohols, they would hold the burning liquid over the dying tooth to shock the nerve into temporary silence. But what happened when the tooth was completely dead, rotting, and had to be treated physically? This is where prehistoric medicine becomes pure, unadulterated horror. In 2015, researchers examining a 14,000-year-old skeleton in northern Italy made a chilling discovery. Inside one of the man's molars was the oldest known dental filling on Earth. Using high-powered microscopes, scientists realized that a prehistoric dentist had used a tiny, exceptionally sharp microstone tool made of flint to manually dig, scratch, and scoop the rotting, infected pulp out of the living nerve chamber, without anesthesia. Once the rotting tissue was scraped away, they packed the open hole with a mixture of natural beeswax and powdered stone to seal it from food. Let that sit in your mind for a second. Someone held this man down against a dirt floor while another person manually hollowed out his raw, living tooth with a sharp piece of rock. And the most shocking part? The bone regrowth around the tooth proved the man actually survived and lived for years afterward. In Pakistan, at an ancient site called Mehrgarh, archaeologists found 9,000-year-old adult teeth featuring perfectly round, concentric holes drilled directly into the chewing surfaces. They didn't use electric drills, they used a bow drill. A skilled operator would wrap a string around a wooden stick tipped with a tiny, sharp flint bit, swiftly sawing the bow back and forth to create high-speed rotation. Modern researchers recreated this exact flint bow drill to see how it felt. They discovered it takes roughly 1 full minute of intense, smoking, friction-heavy drilling to pierce human enamel. 60 seconds of pure, unmasked hell! When a tooth was entirely beyond repair, there was only one option left: extraction. But without modern, custom-fit steel forceps, yanking a slippery, deeply rooted molar out of a human skull is practically impossible. So, they used the lever and mallet. A healer would place the tip of a piece of dense hardwood or a carved deer antler at a sharp angle against the base of the infected tooth. Then, an assistant would raise a heavy stone and strike the back of the wood. The blunt force would instantly shatter the periodontal ligament and knock the tooth straight out of the jaw. If the impact snapped the crown off and left the infected roots trapped deep inside the bone, the patient simply had to endure weeks of blinding fever until the body slowly pushed the dead shards out through the gums. We look back at these methods and shiver. So the next time you are sitting in a plush, air-conditioned dental chair, listening to the high-pitched hum of an electric drill, feeling the tiny pinch of a local anesthetic, and mentally complaining about the bill, take a deep, painless breath. You are not experiencing an annoying modern chore. You are sitting in the lap of an unimaginable scientific miracle. Because for 300,000 years, your only alternative was a sharp rock, a dollop of warm beeswax, and a friend holding your shoulders down against the cave floor. Imagine waking up at 2 in the morning with a throbbing toothache.